Hi everyone. I wanted to do a quick video to do an introduction to allow us more time to actually do the groups when we get there. Normally I would do this as we start leading groups, but I think we can do it this way and save us some time and minimize our contact as we're together. So what I want to introduce you to is just sort of the general purpose for leading these groups and why we're doing this. I want to reference you to the course outcome summary. And this is the main outcome that we really just couldn't do online, and that's leading groups. Okay. And these are linked to the external standards. That's the ACODE standards, talking about implement group interventions based on principles of group development, group dynamics across the lifespan. That's why when I assigned the various different kinds of groups, there's some across all of the lifespan. It's to meet this standard. Also, it's the standard demonstrate therapeutic use of self. So, and everything that includes, both in the individual and group interactions. How we're going to assess that is by leading groups and evaluating group leadership. So that's the key as to why we're doing this and having to come back and not do this online. So the criteria, your performance will be successful when you follow the rubric or checklist. So let's move next to the rubric or checklist so you know what your performance is going to be graded on. Okay, so there are two different rubrics. One is for the warm-up. This one's for the warm-up, and you'll have another one for the initial and the same rubric for the final group. So just a few key things. These are on Blackboard, so you should be able to view these. Look these over so you know that what you're going to be graded on. So materials and room ready beforehand. Okay. You're going to have time either before we actually start groups or in between groups to actually get your stuff ready. Were you prepared? Does your group follow a logical sequence? Does it make sense? Do you stay within the time frame? I highlighted that because that's very important. Did you stay within 4 to 5 minutes? Watch your time. It's very specific. If you're 3 or 6 minutes, you could have a point. If you're more or less than 2 and 7, and so on. You get the idea. So continue to look at these and just be aware of this. It gives you directions. Make sure you introduce yourself. Don't lose a half a point based on that, just because you didn't have all our members introduce themselves. Now, we all know each other. We've been in class for how long? It seems kind of contrived, but in a group warm-up, this is something you would likely do. And so this is part of the warm-up rubric. You're going to need to state the purpose of the group. Make sure that your group members are coming in and they know why they're there and what you're going to do and why you're doing it. Make sure your directions are clear and easy to follow. And also explain to your group members how the group warm-up would prepare someone for a subsequent group that might happen for the same population. The rest is more on your communication skills, and you can read through that. This is all worth 10 points. Okay, next we're on the initial leading group protocol. It's the exact same protocol for the final, it just is labeled differently and the point values are different. So again, materials and room are ready. Get that ready so that you know what you need and that it's ready to go for when you start your group. Again, the time frame. Here's the guidelines, between 18 and 22 minutes, and here's the specific what your score is based on how long your group takes. The next thing is, does your activity meet the goals of the scenario and fulfill the frame of reference? Okay, your protocol, you've been graded on that, so ideally you have been pointed, you've gotten something that's been approved. What this is grading really is, are you able to carry it out in the way that it seems like you had said in your protocol so that it meets the point of the scenario and fulfills the frame of reference. Okay, next, again, you're going to introduce yourself and have your members introduce themselves. Here, ideally, in a real group, you would have already done the warm-up and have done that, but I think it's good practice to do this. So that's in here again. Again, state the purpose of the group so that your group members know. Make sure your directions are easy to follow. Make sure that you are including all of the steps that you included in your protocol, those 7 steps, okay? Not just doing the activity and then being done, you have to kind of process that with your group members. Again, therapeutic use of self is important, more practice with that. And then communication skills are also a part of that. Okay, let me just encourage you as a group member, your group has not thought about this as in depth as you have. So be sure to kind of talk through that either at the beginning of the group, it's your choice, or as part of the processing. You know, this is why we did this group, and this is how it relates, and this is how this population would benefit from that. Do that as part of your group. Explain that to your group members so they can benefit from all of the work that you've done and the research that you've done. Do this for both your initial group and your final group. The final group has all of the same categories. It's just that it's going to be worth twice the points. Okay, the next thing I wanted to point out and emphasize for everyone is that when you're a group member and not leading your group, you still have an active learning role. I want you to be thinking about, you'll have a copy of the schedule and be thinking about, okay, if this person's doing this group, adults with traumatic brain injury, Allen Cognitive Level 4, what does that look like? Remember what a Level 4 looks like. Be prepared to kind of experience the group as if you were functioning from a Level 4. What does an inpatient rehab center look like? What do people with traumatic brain injuries typically do in an inpatient rehabilitation center? The group is going to focus on increasing problem-solving skills. How is what you're doing using problem-solving skills? And how does this fit with the frame of reference? Okay? You, as a group member, this is also to enhance your knowledge of these different approaches and frames of reference, and also solidifying what some of these skills or tasks are, and being able to kind of connect those dots so that you get more practice doing that. Look at what your group leader has done and try to understand why they chose what they did and what are the connections that they're making. So you have an active learning role. You're not just there to be a group member, you're also there to help with your own learning and to experience what some of being in a group is like and what some of the therapeutic techniques feel like from a patient perspective. So I wanted to put that out there because I think that's not clear always in what we're doing. And so if you're not doing an active learning role, that's an awful lot of time out of your day at a time when, you know, maybe we don't want or feel like we should be having a lot of time commitment. But I think you can benefit from this active learning role and really further your learning in this way and not just be passive. I think your active participation will also help your group leaders. So on the flip side, when you're the group leader, if your group members are making an effort to be actively engaged, it certainly does make an easier group to run. So make sure that you are prepared as you go into these groups, that you kind of have a general idea of what your performance is going to need to look like as a group member and what you want to get out of this group. So I wanted to just set that up because I don't know that we'll have time when we come to meet and once we do all of the entrance procedures. And I think it'll be, you know, just a bit of us getting used to being back together and also us all looking different with masks and 6 feet apart and all of that. So just a little bit of an introduction that I wanted to give so that everyone kind of was set up going into this, have some expectations. Please reach out to me if you have further questions and concerns, and we'll try to get those answered. And I will see you all on Monday.